and presenting the Radical Forgiveness Workshop. So just like Mauricio said, make sure you have all your journaling supplies with you because we will be doing a lot of journaling today. I love radical forgiveness. I mean, I love everything that is spiritually based in the exterior world. I am a spiritual leader. I'm a reverend doctor. So when I found this radical forgiveness, I had a friend that introduced this to me when I was going through a very transformational, life-changing situation that I'm going to share with you as I guide you along on your journey. And it was the radical forgiveness that allowed me to see it from a broader perspective, allowed me to see that really nothing was ever wrong and everything was in divine order, even though it felt terrible. So I'm going to play my screen here. All right. So I like to start grounded in a meditation and prayer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Serenity Prayer. I'll have you follow along with me. And then I'm going to lead you in a breathing exercise, which will bring you centered and relaxed and focused. And then we are going to just meditate for 1 minute on an affirmation. And that affirmation is going to be, I am the temple of love. I am the temple of light. And then after a minute, I will bring us out into a gratitude prayer, and then we will start our workshop. So I invite you to sit with a straight spine, which is important when you're praying and meditating. And when you close your eyes, just to look into the third eye. And the third eye is the space between your two eyebrows. And bring your hands into prayer position and repeat this familiar prayer that you know so well, the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So just relax your palms and put them up in your lap. And I invite you, I'm going to ask you to breathe in your nose for 5 counts. Hold your breath for 5 counts. And then breathe out of your mouth for 5 counts. We will do this 5 times, and this will put you in a very relaxed position. Breathe in your nose for 5 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. One more time. Hold. Exhale. And now repeat this affirmation in your mind's eye. I am the temple of love as you breathe in. I am the temple of love, of light as you breathe out. Breathe in. I am the temple of love. Breathe out. I am the temple of light. So as we come together in this space of peace, in this space of centeredness, I'm just grateful for this time. I'm grateful for Arizona, Coda, and the committee as they put together these amazing spiritual evolutionary workshops on a weekly basis and meetings. I'm grateful for each and every person here who said yes, knowing as we come together as one today, that each person will hear what they need to hear. They will see what they need to see. They'll feel what they need to feel, expanding, growing, evolving, just recognizing that all is love and all is perfect in the world. And so with deep gratitude, I just release this into the universe. And so it is. Amen. It just changes everything, doesn't it? A little prayer, a little meditation. It's so great. All right, here we go, my friends. So this is my radical forgiveness angel. Her name is Lynn, and she's a friend of mine. She just passed away last year in October. Years ago, we were in a spiritual class together, and at the end of the class, we had to present a project. And she presented this radical forgiveness technique. And I'll never forget her for that. And after she passed away, I decided to bring in the teachings that she taught me and to speak about them on the pulpit and to practice them again in my lives and just to remember how important it is. Lynn was she was an AA and she was a sponsor, and she had many sponsees and she helped them on their journey. Her husband said that she would pass out radical forgiveness workshops like the worksheets like they were chiclets. And so this is definitely a beautiful process, and I'm excited to share with you my journey and guide you through your own journey. So what happens is that when we don't forgive people, or why it's important that we have so many resentments or anger towards other people, we put them in the prison of our mind. And so they are behind bars in our mind, and we take them with us everywhere we go. And it takes a lot of life force energy, because in order to keep, because we are the prison guard, we have to stand guard to make sure they don't leave that prison. And in order to keep them alive, we have to continue to tell the story over and over and over again. And so this takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of life force to say, okay, they're wrong. I was right. I'm putting them behind bars. I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to send them good, loving energy. And instead of our energy being used in life for other things, for good, or to give love, or to be of service, a lot of times our energy in our mind is being used to keep those people behind bars for what they have done wrong to us, for the grievance that they have given us. So this is why I have loved radical forgiveness so much. There's a traditional forgiveness, which is in the human consciousness. And then we have the spiritual forgiveness, which is like nothing ever happened wrong. Everything was perfect. And it's hard to see life in that way. But in the traditional forgiveness, the willingness to forgive is present, but so is the residual need to condemn. Therefore, the victim consciousness is maintained and nothing really changes. So when we live in that consciousness of victimhood, and I think this is a typical archetype that we have in our mass consciousness, the only way that we ever change is when we give up shame, blame, and regret. And so a victim can never change. It's the lowest level of consciousness that you can ever be in. They can never change until you give up the shame, blame, and regret and realize that everything is done by me. I am the creator of my reality. Then changes can happen in our world. Radical forgiveness, on the other hand, is the willingness to forgive is present, but not the need to condemn someone. Therefore, the victim consciousness is dropped and everything changes. In radical forgiveness, we have a perception that nothing wrong ever happened and that everyone in our life is a healing angel. And they come into our life and they show us where we need to be healed on a spiritual level. You see, because each of us have these false beliefs about ourselves. They're like the core beliefs that we obtained when we were children from our parents, that we're not good enough, or those are mine, that I'm not good enough, I have many of them, that I'm not heard or I'm not seen. And so because of these core beliefs continue to run my life, people will come into my life to show me that my beliefs are true. And these are opportunities to heal these grievances. These are opportunities to heal a core belief that's been running within me. Just for like an example, you might know someone, or it's typical, like a woman would have a man and he would go out on her. Okay, she would be married to him, and then she would divorce him, then she'd get married again, and then she would find another man and he would commit the same crime. He would go out on her, and then he would cheat on her, and then she would find her boyfriend, and the boyfriend would cheat on her. So it's not like these people are doing anything wrong to her. Is that we create our own reality by our beliefs. And if we believe that someone abandons us, or someone betrays us, or someone is makes us the victim of circumstances, then they continue to show up in our life. And these are opportunities for us to awaken and to realize that we are so much more than what life is presenting to us. And this is the victim consciousness. It's defined as the conviction that someone else has done something bad to you. As a direct result, they are responsible for the lack of peace and happiness in your life. I mean, just think right now, we're in this pandemic, and we have this mass victim consciousness, in our society. Even in the pandemic, we are thinking that something is being done to us on a collective level. Well, and really, in reality, the pandemic has come to show us how much fear and separation we are in, how much we need to bring love and oneness into our lives on a collective level. But in order to break this, we have to have a radical forgiveness where we see everything as radically different. We see everything that something is being done for us in order to heal something in our life. But in order to heal this victimhood, we must experience it fully and completely. There's really no shortcuts. And true forgiveness is completely letting go of the victim consciousness, which is a process. And radical forgiveness challenges us to fundamentally shift our perception of the world and our interpretation of what happens, so we can stop being victims. But the thing is about forgiveness is that we always have to be willing, even if we don't know how to forgive. Like, okay, this just happened to me and this feels really bad, and I'm willing to forgive, but I don't know how to forgive. I'm willing to see a different interpretation for this situation that's happening. I'm willing to look at this opportunity to heal. And so today during the workshop, I'm just going to ask you to be in a state of willingness, because I know for myself, when I had a terrible betrayal happened to me, I couldn't forgive. There's no way I could forgive, but I was willing to be in that mode of forgiveness, that one day something would open up, that I could see it from a different perspective. Because the radical forgiveness, it touches into an original pain that we might have, that I'm not enough, and I am unworthy, or I am unlovable. And when we get in touch with this original pain, and we see how certain beliefs are running our lives, we can look at life from a wider perspective. And it gives us a greater understanding for forgiveness, and knowing that the other people just came into our life to assist us. They're actually healing angels that have come to our lives. Yeah, when you can get to the point where something happens in your life and you're like, oh, this is interesting. Look what I just created. Instead of judging it and blaming it and wanting to seek revenge. So 90% of the healing occurs when we become willing to let an idea that your soul lovingly created this situation for you. Can you imagine that you have to embrace this idea that your soul created a situation that doesn't feel good? And radical forgiveness, it presents that idea to you that your soul did this because you know there's something within you that needs to be healed so you may express the greater you in the world. In radical forgiveness, it's without exception that everything happens to us is divinely guided, purposeful, and for our greater good. We take the victimhood out of our lives and we claim divine order and perfection. Let me read the chart on traditional forgiveness versus radical forgiveness. In traditional forgiveness is the world of humanity, ego, versus
radical forgiveness is the world of divine truth and spirit.
Traditional forgiveness is low vibratory rate versus
radical forgiveness is high vibratory rate.
Traditional forgiveness is something wrong happened versus
radical forgiveness is nothing wrong happened.
Traditional forgiveness is judgment-based versus
radical forgiveness is judgment and blame-free.
Traditional forgiveness is pastime orientation versus
radical forgiveness is present time orientation.
Traditional forgiveness is need to figure it all out
versus radical forgiveness is surrendering to what is as is.
Traditional forgiveness is victim consciousness
versus radical forgiveness is grace consciousness.
Traditional forgiveness is judges human imperfection
versus radical forgiveness accepts human imperfection.
Traditional forgiveness, what happened was true.
Versus radical forgiveness, symbolic meaning of it, truth.
Traditional forgiveness is physical reality only.
Versus radical forgiveness is metaphysical realities.
Traditional forgiveness is problem is still out there.
Versus radical forgiveness, the problem is with me, my error.
Traditional forgiveness is letting go of resentment.
Versus radical forgiveness, embracing the resentment.
Traditional forgiveness is you and I are separate.
Versus radical forgiveness, you and I are one.
Traditional forgiveness is shit happens.
Versus radical forgiveness, there are no accidents.
Traditional forgiveness, life is random events.
Versus radical forgiveness, life is purposeful.
Traditional forgiveness is personality, ego, and control.
Versus radical forgiveness, soul following a divine path.
Traditional forgiveness is reality is what happens.
Versus radical forgiveness, reality is what we create.
So now you have a feel of kind of where we're going. So I can't read it unless I have my other screen up. Okay, so letting go of victimhood provides the key to health, personal power, and spiritual evolution. And Lynn, this was the last post that she made on her Facebook page right before she passed away. It is so empowering to say, this isn't serving me anymore, and walk away in peace. And I would say that would depict a person that has done a lot of radical forgiveness papers. When you recognize, oh, look what happens. Well, you're not charged. You know, when you have that button inside you, when you get charged, that means it's your button. Well, okay, you know what? This isn't serving me. I'm just going to walk away. I think that's very evolved. So I applaud her for that and thank her. So there are 5 steps to radical forgiveness: telling the story, feeling the feelings, collapsing the story, reframing the story, and integrating the shift. And we're going to go through this today. So I hope you've been thinking about something in your life, a situation that you would like to heal. We are going to go through all these steps with that situation, but I just want to tell you now that this is an evolutionary process. You might not have that feeling of integration at the very end of this, or you might, I don't know. Everyone is different, but everything takes time. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have to sleep on it, chew on it, think about it, evolve in it, allow yourself to move into it. But you're going to get a good idea of what radical forgiveness is. So when a situation comes up, you're going to, wow, how can I look at this from a broader perspective? And so what happens when we have something that we need to forgive in our life, it's an emotional issue that is in our physical body. And we have to move this out of our physical body. We have to move it forward. And it's mainly lodged in our throat. So we are going to do some breakout rooms where you can speak your word. And when we're not speaking our word, I'm going to ask you to speak out loud in front of the computer as you read something or whatever you write. We need you to speak that out loud, because even though it may not be a complete integration today, you will have movement on whatever it is that you would like to heal. So part one is telling the story, and have your pencil and paper ready, because you'll have the opportunity to tell your story on what it is that is a grievance in your life that was in the past, that you're keeping these people and prisoners in your mind that you want to release from jail, or something that is happening now, here and now. The first thing you'd like to do on your paper is to write today's date, March 27th. And kind of write the subject that you think it is, whether it's betrayal, abuse, rejection, and then whoever the person is that upset you. Okay. So today's date, the topic, and the person that upset you. Okay. So you're going to tell your story. This will be the old paradigm. You're going to write it out. The situation which upset you. Be the victim. No spiritual bypasses right now. You're going to be the total victim. And you can put it from your point of view. You don't have to be compassionate with anyone in the story. Don't hold back. This is your opportunity to express your grievance fully and completely. And I'm going to share my story with you. And then, so just to give you an example, and then I'm going to play a little bit of music and will allow you to write your story. So my story. I was with a man of my dreams for 16 years. I always thought that we would live happily ever after. I could not imagine my life without him. We never fought. We were best friends. Every day I woke up thinking, what can I do to make him happy? And the only problem is that every day he woke up and said, what can I do to make myself happy? So we both wanted to make him happy. This was a problem in our relationship because I was happy and he wasn't. He resented the fact that I was so happy. He tried to tell me several times that he didn't think he could be with the same woman for the rest of his life. And I couldn't hear him. I was in denial that I thought we were the perfect couple. I started meditating every day and I woke up and I realized that I became very intuitive that he was having an affair. I couldn't prove it, but I was so distraught. And he was doing actions that proved that they weren't normal, that he was with another woman. And I moved out of the house into one of our rental properties. But I had to prove to him that he was having this affair because he was making me think that I was crazy. Every time I would tell him you're having an affair, he would say, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And so I went into meditation and I asked the universe, okay, when can I follow him to his girlfriend's house? This was the question that I had. And I told the universe it's going to tell me everything I needed to know at that moment. And the answer came immediately. I knew Friday at 6 o'clock, I needed to be at his house in an undercover car. So I rented a car and I put on a wig and I was driving up the mountain. I saw that he was coming down the mountain. I turned around and lucky me, someone stopped his car to tell him something, which gave me time to catch up. And I followed him for an hour and a half during rush hour traffic on the 5 freeway in Los Angeles. When I arrived, he was getting into an SUV. His girlfriend was driving and her adult children in the back with a newborn baby. As suspected, this had been going on for a long time. She was not a younger version of me. She was the older version of me. I was shocked. I blocked the driveway so they could not leave and get out. And I got out of the car. I took off my wig and revealed myself. The moment was bittersweet. I was enraged. Thank God I did not have a gun on me. And as the story unraveled, I discovered he had affairs with my girlfriends. I was so besides myself. And we went on a cruise that we both, we had purchased. We decided he would go on that cruise with his brother. I packed everything up and I went AWOL. I left town. That is my story in black and white. So just tell your victim story, what happened to you, with no compassion for the other person. I am going to play a little music. And Cynthia, are you there? Let's give this, let's see where are we at? Let's give this like 4 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so this is your opportunity to confront the other person. I'm upset with you because, so all you have to do, don't have any compassion for the other person, just confront with them. So I'll give you an example of my confrontation. I put myself in front of Bob and I said, I'm upset with you because you're a liar, a cheat, and you betrayed me. It seems like you don't have enough money, enough food, enough women, enough real estate, enough of anything to make you happy. I'm outraged. So I'm going to invite you to write your confrontation to that person that upset you. And let's do 2 minutes, okay? So this gives you the opportunity to really feel the feeling. Have you ever felt like this? So when you want to feel the feeling, there is no spiritual bypass in feeling the feeling. That means you feel exactly what you want to feel. Don't butter up or be compassionate toward anyone or to the other person. Just feel it, because you cannot heal what you don't feel. A lot of times if you're feeling like really lonely or you're feeling angry, if you just sit with that feeling, then you can move through it. And they say, this is why I'm not sure if this can be integrated all in one day. Even if you have pain, you have a pillow in front of you, just put the pillow in front of your face and scream in it. Matter of fact, you know, I went on the Camino de Santiago de Compostela and I did a pilgrimage. It's a 500-mile walking journey. And there was a story about a girl who was very, very angry and upset because her husband gave her HIV, the virus. And so he took her over to Forgiveness Mountain. And this is at the beginning of the journey. And she yelled and she screamed and she cried and she said swear words and she just got it all out of her. And by the time she was done after that, with that 500-mile journey, she was completely free from any animosity towards her husband. So it's important that we really get those feelings out. Okay, so you're going to identify how you feel. So we are going to share our stories, just to let you know, we are going to share how we feel. I'm just going to give the example of my feelings and then I will let you write yours. Because of what you did, I am distraught. My heart is broken. I can barely get out of bed in the morning. I am pissed beyond belief. I am angry. I am hurt. I'm livid beyond no words to describe my pain. And so those were my feelings. I felt kind of murderous too. So let's do another 2 minutes and write down all your feelings. And we're going to share this with our story in a breakout room after, okay? Acknowledging my own humanness, I lovingly recognize and accept my feelings and judge them no more. I am entitled to my feelings. And then choose whether you're willing, open, skeptical, or unwilling. I'm willing. Together, we read this one out loud also. Acknowledging my own humanness, I own my feelings. No one can make me feel anything. My feelings are a reflection of how I see the situation. Are you willing, open, skeptical, and unwillingness? I think it's just accepting ourselves in all our humanness. Now, in the blanks, you're going to be putting the person that you have the grievance on. My discomfort was my signal that I was withholding love from myself and Bob by judging, holding expectations, and wanting Bob to change and seeing Bob as less than perfect. So let's say this together, and in those slots, put the person that you have the grievance for. My discomfort was my signal that I was withholding love from myself and Bob by judging, holding expectations, wanting Bob to change, and seeing Bob as less than perfect. So usually we want the other person to change. So this one asks you to list the judgment and expectations, the behaviors that indicate that you were wanting him or her to change. So for an example, mine is, you're a liar, you're a cheat, you betrayed me, you rejected me, you don't have enough anything, enough money, enough food, enough women. My expectation for you was to love me and to respect me as I loved and respected you. So I'm going to let you fill this out on your own, and I'm going to play music for 2 minutes. And after you fill it out, speak your word out loud. Speak it out loud so you can move the energy out of your body. Give me 2 minutes, Cynthia. The next one is you're looking in the mirror and you go back to 5, what you just wrote, and how many judgments and expectations you are making about yourself. Like, I don't think I wouldn't betray him, and I wouldn't reject him, and I wouldn't be unkind to him, but I would do that to myself. You see, I betrayed myself. I rejected myself, and I was unkind to myself. So go back to what you just wrote and say, okay, the judgment, the expectations, the behaviors, what is it that you see within you that needs to be healed? So 1 finger pointing at you, 3 fingers pointing back. Mine was, you're a cheat. I'm cheating myself by being in an unloving relationship. You betrayed me. I'm betraying myself by not listening to my intuition. You don't have enough love, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough real estate, you don't have enough women. 3 fingers are pointing back to me. This was my realization that, oh my God, I am not enough. And I have this, I am not enough, running in my subconscious mind that's running my life. And I'm bringing people in my life to show me that I am not enough. So I'm going to give you, it should be pretty obvious. So why don't we do a minute, okay, Cynthia? And I'm going to try to find the chat box. This is when we collapse our story. This is when we recognize that there are false beliefs that are running our subconscious mind, that is running our life. These are these false beliefs that we learned as children. And this is when we want to give up our story and form a new story. So let's read this together. I now realize that in order to feel the experience more deeply, my soul has encouraged me to create a bigger story out of the event or situation than it actually seemed to warrant, considering just the facts. You create your own stories. Together, let's read this. I can now release the energy surrounding my story by separating the facts from the interpretations I have made up about it. So sometimes when something happens, there's fact, when you're so emotional, there's things that happen that we decide to make up stories in our mind. I know I did. So the interpretations that I made up about the event, that he was sleeping with all my girlfriends, and I worked for the Radio City Rockettes. So he's sleeping with all of them, is what I saw, all 36 of them, or at least 10 of them, I was thinking. And seriously, that's what I had in my head. It was not right, but that was my interpretation. What are the interpretations that you're holding in your mind around a situation that might not even be true because you're not really understanding all of the facts? My interpretation is that he never loved me. Of course he loved me. So we make up interpretations. I'll give you a minute to come up with your interpretations around the situation. I love this slide because it really assists us in nailing down what is running itself in our lives. These are core negative beliefs I either made up from my own story or which drove the story. And choose the ones that you feel has driven this story. I'll never be enough. It's not safe to be me. I'm always last or left out. People always abandon me. It's not safe to speak out. I should have been a boy or a girl. No matter how hard I try, it's never enough. Life's not fair. It's not good to be powerful, successful, rich, and outgoing. I am unworthy. I don't deserve. I must obey or suffer. Others are more important than me. I am alone. No one will love me. I am unlovable. No one is there for me. Or another core belief that might be running underneath the situation. It's easy to pick out our core beliefs. Well, it is for me. I'm not quite sure for you. My core beliefs is I'll never be enough, no matter how hard I try. It's never enough. I am unworthy. I don't deserve, and I am unlovable. Those are the core beliefs that run situations in my life. And so I'm going to ask, let's have 3 people share their core beliefs. We're going to read this, and you put the person you have a grievance for in this line down here. Together, let's read this out loud. I now realize my soul encouraged me to form these beliefs in order to magnify my sense of separation so I can feel it more deeply for my spiritual growth. As I now begin to remember the truth of who I am, I give myself permission to let them go. And now I send love and gratitude to myself and Bob for creating this growth experience. I'm willing, I'm open, I'm skeptical, I'm unwilling. So this is a growth process. It's not easy to turn on a dime 360 degrees, but just to know this is the radical forgiveness attitude. So noticing a pattern and seeing the perfection in it. Together, we are going to read this, noticing a pattern and seeing the perfection in it. I recognize that my spiritual intelligence has created stories in the past that are similar in circumstances and feelings to this one in order to magnify the emotional experience of separation that my soul wanted. I am seeing this as evidence that even though I don't know why or how my soul has created this particular situation, in order that I learn and grow. So are you willing to accept this? Are you open? Are you skeptical, or are you unwilling? And put that in there on your paper. So this is going to give you an opportunity to notice a pattern and seeing the perfection in it. List similar stories and feelings and experiences that note the common elements in them. For me, it seems like, and I really had to sit and think about this one, because it's not like after the relationship I went and had other relationships where a man would go out on me. That wasn't my situation. My situation was that every time that I was staying in a situation, whether it's a community or a relationship or a job too long, a betrayal would occur and that would boot me out. And it was almost like my soul was calling for that. I'm not quite sure. Of course, it hurt and I couldn't see what was going on a soul level at the time. So that is the one similar experience I've had. But of course, I've had many experiences to show me that I am not enough, and that continues to run underneath my subconscious mind. So I'm going to give you a minute to kind of ponder this and think about some experiences in your life that continue to run. Why don't we do this for 1 minute since we're pressed for time? Okay, so now we are moving towards a reframe. We're not in it, but we are moving towards it. And what the reframe is the spiritual perspective of what had happened to you from a higher level, knowing that there was no right or there was no wrong, and these were just angels in our life coming to us on a soul contract to allow us to heal and to see exactly where we need to be healed in our life. So together we'll read this. I now realize that I get upset only when someone resonates in me. Those parts of me I have disowned, denied, repressed, and then projected onto them. I see now the truth in the adage. If you spot it, you got it. It's me in the mirror. And are we willing to see this? Are we open to see this? Are we skeptical or unwilling? It doesn't matter. Like I said, there is no right, there is no wrong. But once you see this and you hear this and you speak this, it just opens you up to a new perspective. So put the person that you had a grievance with in the open lines. We read this together. Bob is reflecting what I need to love and accept in myself. Thank you, Bob, for this gift. I am now willing to take back the projection and own it as part of my shadow. I love and accept this part of me. I'm willing, I'm open, I'm skeptical, or I'm unwilling. It's up to you. You have free will and choice. There is no right and there is no wrong. Together we read this. Even though I may not understand it all, I now realize that you and I have both been receiving exactly what we each had subconsciously chosen, and we're doing a dance with for each other to bring us to a state of awakened consciousness. I'm willing to accept that. I'm open, I'm skeptical, or I'm unwilling. It's always interesting. Together we read, I now realize that nothing you, Bob, have done is either right or wrong. I am able now to release the need to blame you or anyone else. I release the need to be right about this, and I'm willing to see the perfection in the situation just the way it is. However you want to see this, you're willing to look at this, you might be open to it. You could be skeptical, or maybe you're just not ready, and you might be unwilling. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. And there is no right and there's no wrong. It's just a process. This is a big chunk to ask someone to do. I know that I was willing to forgive, but it really took me a while to step into it. And now I'm so grateful. Together we read, I'm willing to see that for whatever reason, my mission or soul contract included having experiences like this, and that you and I may have agreed to do this dance with and for each other in this lifetime. It is for the highest good for both of us, and now I release you and me from that contract. I'm willing, I'm open, I'm skeptical, and or unwilling. In radical forgiveness, they kind of believe that before we came to Mother Earth, that we had these contracts with people. Okay, we're going to come to Earth, and you're going to abandon me, and then I'm going to have to forgive you, and I'm going to ask other people to abandon me because there's something within me that I've been holding within me that needs to be healed. Who knows? That's just a concept. I have no idea. All right. So now I want you to bring in that to be that you, when you confronted the person in your life and you read it. So I would say, see, I release from my consciousness all the feelings of that I'm upset with you because you are a liar, a cheater, and you betrayed me. It seems like you don't have enough money, enough food, enough women, enough real estate, enough anything to make you happy. So in this moment, go back and read your statement from 2B and start with, I release from my consciousness all feelings of, and then speak the confrontation. So I will give you a minute to do that. We have a reframe statement. So the story in slide 1 was your victim story based in the old paradigm of reality, the victim consciousness, the one that you shared with everyone. Now attempt a different perception of the same event. This is going to be the reframe. From your new empowered position based on the insights you experienced as you proceeded through these slides. It may be a general statement indicating that you just know everything is perfect. That's good. Or just a statement that includes things specific to that situation. So in my reframe statement, I wrote, I now realize that this situation between us was essential for my soul's evolution. I realized there was something in me that needed to be healed, and I needed to see it very loud and clear. I know now that I am enough. I am more than enough. I tell the universe, I am more than enough on a daily basis. Besides, the life I was resistant to lead is not half as good as the life I have today. I would not have made this shift if you did not play the part as my healing angel. I know that everything evolved perfectly, and I am so grateful for you and the gifts you gave me in this lifetime and the lessons I learned. I will love you forever. So give some kind of a reframe to your situation if you can. It doesn't matter how big. It doesn't have to be. I mean, this happened 10 years ago, so I had a lot of time to figure this one out. So if you're not ready, you're not ready. If you are, you are. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Okay. And then we're going to. So originally what I was going to have you do is breakout rooms, but we don't have time for that. We have 3 minutes left. So let's just wrap this up with the integration, and you can take that part home with you and really work on it. You know, find the spiritual truth in it and find, wow, what are the gifts in this? What did I learn from this? What false beliefs were, performing in my life that I no longer have to believe in. I mean, so this will be your personal work to do. Ah, look at this. You get to give yourself a hug. Let me see if I can get into my other computer so I can read this. Sorry. Okay. So together, let's read this. I completely forgive myself and accept myself as loving, generous, and creative. I release all need to hold on to emotions and ideas of lack and limitations connected to the past. I withdraw my energy from the past and release all barriers against the love and abundance that I know I have in this moment. I create my life. I am empowered to be myself again. Put your hands out to the side and give yourself a big hug. Because why? You deserve it. Okay, a couple more slides here. Put your hands on your heart and read this with me. I unconditionally love and support myself just the way I am in all my power and magnificence. And I want you to rub your hands together. And I want you to send this loving energy out into the world. Together we read, I now surrender to my higher power and trust in the knowledge that this situation will continue to unfold perfectly and in accordance with divine guidance and spiritual law. I acknowledge my oneness and feel myself totally reconnected with my source. I am restored to my true nature, which is love, and I'll restore to love to Bob. I close my eyes in order to feel the love that flows in my life and to feel the joy that comes when that love is felt and expressed. So close your eyes and open your heart and just send that energy of love to the world and to the one that you had a grievance, your angel of light that helped you heal whatever needed to be healed within your life. A note of appreciation and gratitude to you. So together we say a note of appreciation and gratitude to you. Lori, having done these slides, I completely forgive Bob, for now I realize that you did nothing wrong and everything is in divine order. I bless you for being willing to play a part in my awakening. Thank you and honor myself for being willing to play a part in your awakening. I acknowledge and accept you just the way you are. A note to self. Together we read, I recognize that I am a spiritual being having a spiritual experience in a human body, and I love and support myself in every aspect of my humanness.